Great. Hi and welcome to Meet the Professionals, a series where I sit down with people from various industries who to find out a bit more about what they do and sort of see, if you're interested in getting that career path or if you want to find out a bit more. Today I'm with Chris and he works in the voiceover industry. He said he's done a lot of freelance work, which we'll talk about in a minute. But hi Chris, so thank you so much for chatting with me today. I thought we could start off by you telling us your job title and a little bit about what you do, really.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So as Kirsty said before, I am a freelance voiceover artist. This started 2-3 years ago now, once I finished university. And essentially what I do is I look for clients, as I don't have any representation currently. And I go from there, basically. And if I find clients who require it could be anything from a happy birthday message to a loved one in a different country to huge corporate type recordings where I'll have to go up to London or I've been up to Scotland a couple of times to do these kind of things. Yeah, and so there's a whole range of different things that comes with being a freelance voiceover artist. And it's a weird one, especially as I work mainly from home as well. So that kind of helps out an awful lot for me.
Yeah.
But again, the clients can range. It can range from infomercials to character voices for things like video games and videos and things like that. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So you mentioned that you went to uni. So sort of two questions there. To kind of get into your line of work, do you need to go to uni? Is that kind of the qualifications you need? Or a different route? Did you just sort of, yeah?
Well, I went to uni because when I was at Farnborough, I studied performing arts and did a lot of work with some of the media students of the degree, as well as when they had the radio station and things like that as well. But yeah, when I went to uni, I studied theatre, television and performance. And we did a few voiceover things there. But honestly, this was kind of I've always been a performer, always wanted to perform. But then when I left uni, I realized that wasn't necessarily going to happen straight away. So I needed something in the meantime. So I've had a couple of jobs since then. But a friend of mine is the one who actually got me into it. So you don't necessarily need qualifications, however, they do help. Especially if you're a performance artist or you're going to be in the media, things like that. It's always helpful to have these qualifications because at the end of the day, it does mean that it's as bad as it sounds, it'll make it sound like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, got it on paper almost, yeah.
Precisely, yeah. You've got that essential piece of paper that makes them go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, he does know what he's doing.
Yeah, okay, nice. And then what sort of, obviously you've learned a lot of skills, I'm sure, sort of through the different work you've done, and I understand it must be different for each piece you're asked to do, but kind of overall, what sort of skills or I guess personality traits do you think someone who's looking into getting into, we'll talk about, voiceover specifically.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's quite a big question. Well, some of the skills that you would want to have is you need a certain level of confidence. And obviously that comes with time and it comes with experience. I mean, when I first started, I think because the first job I did was promoting an album for someone, and I look back at it now and I listen back to it and I go, oh, why did I do it like that?
Why? It's a cringe factor, isn't it?
It's a huge cringe factor, and I'm sat there going, oh no. But yeah, again, it's confidence and having some faith in yourself, I think. And obviously, if you've got a good language set, so I personally do a lot of RP work, which is the basic British pronunciation you'd hear from a lot of things, without any accents, quite a neutral accent, which I found out is valuable all over the world. And it's bizarre because one of the other things that would definitely help skill wise is learning how to run a business, because when you first start out, unless you're incredibly lucky and you have a voice where people go, oh wow, you have an amazing voice, I want to represent you.
Yeah.
You've got to try and find the work yourself. It might sound boring to a lot of people, especially in the creative industry, but it's something that you definitely want to get a hold of before you start. So
Yeah.
I was quite lucky because my mum runs her own business as well, and so I had a lot of help from her. But
Yeah.
if you're going to start down this path, the best
Mhm.
thing you can probably do is get some experience with that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, so sort of there's skills internally, how you're going to fit in the role, but then also all the other stuff, promotions, of getting your name out there and managing it. Nice.
Precisely.
What would you say is your favourite aspect of your job? What do you enjoy the most?
Oh God, do you know what? Actually, as much as it sounds strange, um, considering obviously I work, as I said, I work from home. Um, strange enough, that's the bit that I like the least. But it's actually interacting with the clients,
Yeah.
because you find that obviously when you first start, you'll have a very professional take with them. You'll want to have a chat with them, discover what they want, especially if they're going to be a repeat client. And
Yeah.
then, but after a while, you find yourself slipping into regular conversation with them, and you'll just get random emails like I do from a specific client. And they'll just message me and they'll go, "Hi Chris, how are you doing? Hope you're doing all well." And I think that's possibly my favorite thing about the job is the interaction with the people.
Yeah.
And I mean, because the performing side of it, so the recording and everything, because I'm self-taught, I didn't learn any of this stuff uh, through university. I learned a bit while I was at college, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm self-taught. So the recording, I always find that I enjoy the editing side of it and all that kind of stuff as well, because a lot of the time the projects rely on clear vocals,
Yeah.
and if I don't deliver that to them through the edits and all the rest of it, then it becomes slightly problematic. But I think honestly, it's the interaction with the clients that I enjoy the most,
Yeah.
because each new project is very, very different from the last.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. And I guess on the flip side of that, then, what do you find most challenging? Is it, just the fact of working from home and you'd rather be, in with other people more, or is there something else you're a bit?
Uh, I think other than if I was in a large studio space where I was able to see other people as well, that'd be great. But I think honestly the most challenging aspect of my job is when you have something that comes from overseas or is
Yeah.
on a subject about a different place. So as an example, the one of my repeat clients that I have is a YouTube channel that specifically does historical documentaries, the people profiles. And I find myself a lot of the time having to speak languages and try and get pronunciations right, but places far and wide. I
Yeah.
think the most problematic one for me, or the most challenging one, has actually been Latin.
Yeah.
Because we had to, and it's very, very, very odd, especially when you're trying to get large paragraphs and you've just got 5 or 6 names in Latin, that you kind of go, oh, what? How do I pronounce that? And you've got to ask the clients for pronunciation. I think that's that, because as much as I enjoy communicating with the clients, sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle, especially if especially with certain language barriers. That's possibly the most challenging part of the job. It's a massive challenge that you need to wrap your head around a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I guess that sort of leads into, obviously, in voiceover, communication is a very important skill, but not just communication in terms of talking, doing the voiceover, but more with clients and being able to understand
Yeah.
one, and whether that's in Latin or English sort of thing. So nice. Okay. What piece of advice would you give someone who's sort of maybe is at Farnborough like you were and is sort of just starting out? Maybe they've got this idea of a career in mind, or they're just not sure. What piece of advice would you give them?
Ooh. Well, there's a couple of things I think that is worthwhile considering. Um, if you do plan on going into this full time, never stop training. Never stop, because it's like every industry. It's always evolving. It's always changing, and you've got to change with it. You've got to be able to adapt. Like I mean, I could quite easily try and voice something, an animal video like David Attenborough. That might not be what's needed, so I'd need to adapt to that. So no matter what you're doing, just carry on training. And the other thing, I suppose, which would apply to many industries, I think, is never undervalue yourself. Because I always find never undervalue what it is you're bringing to the table. Simply because when I first started my voiceover, I don't think I fully appreciated just what it was I was delivering for people. You know, I'm selling a lot of things for other people, and they're going, okay, fantastic. You know, how much do you want? And they'll state a number, and I would go, oh wow, that's a lot of money. I'll do that. And then in reality, actually, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So never undervalue what it is you're selling yourself, or how you sell yourself, because if as soon as you start going, I'll do it for mates' rates, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
People can take advantage of that. So never ever undervalue yourself. That's something I'm still learning now, 3 years down the line.
Yeah.
So again, it's the same for a lot of industries. Never undersell yourself. Never take less than you're worth. And I think that's something really important, especially in creative industries as well, because people will try and take the mick.
Yeah.
But don't let them. That's the biggest piece of advice. And as well, you'll get knockbacks. You'll always get knockbacks.
Yeah.
You'll have people go, oh, that's not for me. A lot of the time I'll have a client go, thanks for that, that's great, but there's this slight problem, and I don't really like the way it sounds, and I don't like the way it's recorded. And at the end of the day, I've either got to go, there's two options you can go with. You can go, okay, well, you know, thank you very much, but I'm not going to attempt to do it again. Or you can go, do you know what? I can do better. Let's do it again.
It sounds like sort of part of the process, and of, you know, you're sort of finding your feet and finding who you are, and you know what you can do and what you need to learn and things like that. So yeah, that's
most definitely
a great piece of advice. To finish on one last question then, Chris, where do you see your industry in sort of 5 to 10 years time, and not necessarily you specifically, but just the industry as a whole? And
for the voiceover industry, voice acting, voiceover, all these audio-based industries, a little bit like radio and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't ever think they're going to go away. I think as much as AI may develop and all the rest of it, and you know, as visuals but seem to become more and more important, I don't think that audio-based industries like voiceover are going to lose out, because you know, you can listen to a robot voice for 5-10 minutes before you get irritated by it.
Yeah,
so I think there is,
yeah,
precisely. And I don't think that there's ever going to be a time where voices will be replaced entirely by other things. I think in about 5 years time, I think it will still be going as strong as ever.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have a new wave of fresh minds and ability coming through into that industry. Because as much competition as you will find with it, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you'll hear someone doing something that you'd like to do, and you go, I want to do better, I want to be better, and it will drive you, and that's exactly what you want. And so I think that's what will happen, hopefully within the next 5 years, is that we get a new load of interest, new blood, as it were, who really want to get into it and do an even better job than is going on currently, and people's techniques and abilities really shine through. And I really do think that's going to be vital in the next 5 years, and in 5 years time we'll be at a new level.
Yeah, building on and expanding. Sort of, definitely sounds like one of the industries it's only going to get bigger, like it's not going away anytime soon.
Definitely.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I've definitely learned a lot, and it's really great to hear just how much you love your job and how passionate, and there's just different avenues, which is really reassuring for people who are looking to get into it. If you have any questions, if you want to pop them in the comments below, I'm sure Chris will give us a hand in answering them. And yeah, we're here to and stay tuned for more videos next week.